71 Earth Flow Wall. More like an Earth Flow City Wall. Let's go first. Set up warning posts along the way, and scatter the crows. Kyoichi gestured for Yamashiro Aoba to follow him. There is no real danger in Kyoto. The main crisis lies outside the city. His name is very prestigious. But that's only in Kyoto. Outside of Kyoto, there are always accidents, as the 12 guardians wouldn't exist. Yamashiro Aoba nodded and followed. Outside the city, 1,000 crows, each becoming the eyes and ears of Aoba, gathering intelligence from all around. He is even more direct. He stretched out a finger to probe the ground, his chakra senses spreading out, and he had a general idea of the surroundings. There's no danger at present. Sure, there's no one here right now. This area is still safe. The main concern is the area behind. Oh, I also have sensory abilities. I can monitor it all the time. I'll have to rely on your crow for that. They first went out of the city to scout the location. Long after, the daimyo's entourage left and headed outwards. The daimyo was quite young. After leaving Kyoto, he scanned his things and quickly noticed an abnormally large number of crows in the sky. He just looked closely and didn't ask any more. Upon seeing Kyoichi in the distance, a fear flashed into his mind, and he quickly, with a smile, "Jonin Minato, may I ask who that ninja?" "Excellency, his name is Kanda Kyoichi. He is a newly promoted Jonin of Konoha, and strength is no less than mine." Minato Namikaze stood to the side, answered diligently. Ming nodded slightly. "Not the thousands. That's strange." He frowned slightly, it several times, and then asked, "Are you a descendant of the Thousand Hands?" Kyoichi's grandmother was from the lineage of Tobarama. Minato Namikaze continued the story. I realized his name. Indeed, it is the Thousand Hands lineage. He knew that Kyoichi was currently sweeping to prevent any ninja attacks, so he did not ask Minato to call Kyoichi over for a look. But that head of silver hair and that sweat immediately reminded one of the Hokage. He couldn't help but sigh, then, as if he had become interested, said, "The second Hokage's a hero. I never thought he would have a descendant whom a ninja. It's truly a cause for celebration." Does Minato know who his teacher was? Kyoichi learned by himself using the Senju book and books brought by his grandmother. He gained Tsunade's approval and a contract with Shikatsu Forest. For not changing his surname, he can be considered a member of the Senju. Minato did not give a direct answer, but his already revealed the meaning. He didn't have many teachers, everyone on their own. The question about his name seemed to be Ashley, and after hearing it, the person exclaimed, was emerged from among the young. He closed the curtain and didn't ask any questions. At a distance, a crow landed, and then Yamashiro Aoba quickly caught up. "Sir, something's not right." It was discovered. Kyoichi knew that it must have been Yamashiro Aoba's crows. Yamashiro Aoba nodded. His crows weren't in combat, but they were excellent at reconnaissance, skill passed down through the mountain city. After hearing this, Jing roughly understood. Very obvious clues. A string of footprints along the riverbank. Deep in the mountains and along the riverbank, I walked along the river again, my times continuous and sometimes broken. This is something we must be wary of. It's not around. It might be lying in ambush, or it might be hiding in the river. Some secret technique to cut off my senses in detection. He said after investigating for a moment. Chakra perception is not invincible. There are many secret techniques that can be dodged. He thought about it. A slight smile on his face. "Don't worry, I'm not afraid at all if the party is a ninja from Kurigakure. Their escape, I know this very well. Kyoichi's shadow clones have been researched hidden mist technique. After obtaining the assassination technique, the Crescent Moon Dance, he has basically out the hidden mist village's nation routines. He is confident. When the fog rolls in, I'll be stronger than my opponent inside the fog." He pretended not to see it. The procession continued forward, the daimyo looking around at his surroundings, and seeing how prosperous the land of fire was him feel much happier. The scene before us shows that the land of fire is thriving and has recovered remarkably. He was mostly glancing ahead furtively. Kyoichi Kanda, Thousand Hands, although he didn't change his surname, the fact that he was recognized by Tsunade as having the Senju bloodline is astonishing enough. There are many descendants of the Thousands. But, is there anything that can be these days? It wasn't that Tsunade was unwilling, but that the Senju clan's integration to Konoha was an established rule set by the Hokage, Hashirama Senju and Tobarama, and it couldn't be changed. This young man must be extraordinary to have such recognition. His face remained expressionless, but his mind was a jumble of thoughts. At that moment, a scream came from ahead, and the vehicle came to a stop. Minato, the Jonin, Daming peeked out and saw surrounding mist gradually spreading. His face instantly turned pale. Though he wasn't a ninja, he still knew some ninjutsu techniques. For example, the technique of concealing himself in mist. As a daimyo, this was the method he feared, as the fog made it impossible to see the actual scene. Minato, Asuma, and Obito surrounded the village, ready for battle. There are actually people who aren't afraid of. Ahead, a corpse floats in the river, it's flowing and staining the surroundings. Mist ninja, with a quick movement and draw sword technique, he was instant. "There are scratches on my headband. It doesn't mean anything. You keep an eye on corpses and watch out for enemy ambushes." I'm going after them. Jingyi disappeared as he finished speaking. Yamashiro Aoba was very nervous. He didn't know much about the technique of feeling himself in the mist, and now that Joe had left, his palms were sweating, fearing he would be ambushed. In fact, in the shadows, there were indeed mist ninjas lurking. He had intended to wait for an opportunity to assassinate the daimyo, but now that Kyoichi left, there was only one child left. This kid is most likely a reconnaissance ninja. Pondered for a long time. He silently drew his sword and flashed at Yamashiro Aoba. Just as he emerged from the water and to sneak attack on Yamashiro Aoba, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his question mark. It splattered. He covered his neck, his blank. What's going on? He couldn't get an answer. Yamashiro Aoba was so shocked that she didn't speak. The hidden mist ninja just now practically ran to an invisible blade. If it weren't for the very faint sound of that followed, he would have almost the other person had committed suicide. The technique of concealing oneself in mist is powerful, but it's not true invisibility. How did the teacher manage to do that? While Yamashiro Aoba was shocked, she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The teacher did not give up on him. This time, the hidden mist ninjas in the shows had no time to pay attention to Yamashiro Aoba. The only remaining hidden ninja was filled with horror. Kyoichi's methods are too bizarre. He couldn't but think of the second Mizukage from then. Very similar illusions. That's terrifying. Knowing that his mission was doomed to fail, he was already considering retreating and he formed a hand seal in the river. The waves surged, and a shark swallowed two corpses in an instant. He himself fled along the river. He had only traveled a short distance. He sensed the entire river was turbulent. Next moment, the section of the riverbed where he was located had risen dramatically. The escape earth flow wall. but the area by your earthwork is way too big. Who exactly is escorting the daimyo this time? Their strength is simply outrageous. He cursed inwardly. Next moment, he was forced to reveal. After 72 rebuilding the glory of Zero Hands, our duty is inescapable. 2 people were killed, and 1 person escaped. Thick fog, now unguarded, gradually faded. Daming saw the process very clearly. What kind of ninjutsu is this? The river seemed to rise up, the water rushing back and sweep. He was dumbfounded. I've never seen such ninjutsu before. It should be the Tulu wall. Nato's lips twitched. Although its size similar to Tula wall, it should be Tula when viewed from the outside. This is outrageous. Is this a mudslide? Ming was stunned for a long time, speech for a moment, then his heart was filled with and emotion. No wonder he's a descendant of the Thousand. Pushed his opponent out of the way, Jing Yi formed hand seals, and the water vapor on him condensed, instantly transformed to a dragon. Hidden Miss Jonin was dumbfounded. His jutsu was instantly dispersed, while his opponent's water dragon was completely harmed and charged towards him. Damn it, who exactly is the hidden mist? Why is your water jutsu stronger than mine? He couldn't understand it. At this moment, there was no time to think. This young man in front of him was clearly no pushover, and he was so young. Konoha had produced such a genius. He had to bring the information back with him. Taking advantage of the fact that the fog had completely dissipated, he used the fog to instantly evade it, his only thought to escape. Not long after he instantly into a misty figure, he sensed wrong. Illusion. He instantly drew his kunai. A crisp sound. There really was a knife. He felt a chill run down his spine and had no but to disperse the fog. Ninjas of Konoha have appeared. This moment, he had no intention of being to the death with Kyoichi, he only been take the intelligence out with him. He ran while forming hand seals. He landed on the water surface, clapped his, and 5 sharks burst out. Eating shark. Jing thought of the body had just been torn to pieces. Isame could commit suicide using ninjutsu, so this person might not be incapable of it. It's good to have the body at least. Kyoichi gave up the idea of capturing him. Next moment, the sword was drawn. Flash of light. The light was blinding, and he immediately knew something was wrong. He quickly disappeared into the water and a water barrier to resist. The blade is close. 1 strike. The release sword technique severed the river. A vacuum zone stained the river, and corpses surfaced. So strong. Da Ming's eyes lit up. He is not a ninja, but it is not hard to tell the scale and presence that Kyoichi is strong, and Kanda Kyoichi is definitely very old. Such a genius. If we could win them over. Many thoughts arose in his mind. Nato Namikaze used his shadow clone to port to Aoba Yamashiro's side, but 2 corpses were already torn to pieces. Only the one that Kyoichi killed was Yamashiro. Aoba returned to the ranks, but his hadn't returned and was monitoring surroundings. The column continued to move forward, while Kyoichi was communicating with Minato's clone. Their original plan was to blow up the bridge before making their move. When I crossed the bridge, I sensed a faint aura below. After I made my move, sure enough, someone was there. He took out a detonating tag. This is what he found under the bridge. Nato's expression was solemn. 3 had scratches on their headbands, a sign of rogue ninja, but none of the 3 are. Rogue ninja is causing trouble for the daimyo. It's practically suicide. It's good that you served a body. Nato took a deep breath. These 3 were suicide squad members. They're not afraid of death at all. If they kill the daimyo, the land of fire will fall into temporary internal life. That time, not only will Kurigakure declare, but Iwagakure and Kumogakure, which have been recuperating for many years, will also seize the opportunity to make their move. How could Konoha possibly fight 3 villages right now? Kurigakure is truly wicked. Our land of fire has many spies from Kurigakure. They've been plotting this for a long time. Kyoichi increasingly felt that the Thurshin might have done it on purpose. If the daimyo doesn't appear, will Kurigakure move? Obviously not. Even if we only get the core, it's still valuable intelligence. Okay, I'll send the body back immediately and the Dark Guard examine it. Some memories will remain. Nato Namikaze used the Flying Thunder God to send the scroll back to Konoha. They continued on their way. Along the way, Yamashiro Aoba discovered minis, and Kyoichi also found some sneak. They were located in a remote area and did approach, retreating as soon as they the area. It's difficult to kill someone who wants to. Kyoichi wouldn't bother with that. But, it is this that there are many secret agents of other villages hiding within the land of. There's nothing we can do about it. Every country is like this. They all have eyes. Since like the mobilization of a daimyo can be kept from others. All of this was a harbinger of an impending great war. Not long after the war with Sunagakure ended, Iwagakure and Kurigakure are probably going to make their move again. After crossing the bridge, there were no more attacks. After confirming that it was safe, Daming he wanted to stop and rest first. Yi and the others had no choice but to obey. During this time, the daimyo wanted to. Kyoichi didn't want to meet daimyo. Daimyo at this time were very young and very gentle, but in reality they had their own ambitions. Otherwise, there would have been no 12 years later on. I'm not Asuma. Getting involved with him would be a lot of trouble. The lord sat in the sedan chair. When Kyo arrived there, he lifted the curtain, peeked inside before asking, "Are you a descendant of the second Hokage?" "I guess so." Kyoichi did not deny it. His grandmother was very similar to Tobirama Senju, and before the family split up, she had more with Tobirama Senju's ideas and considered one of his subordinates. The Kanda family heirloom also originated from Tobirama. I've admired the second Hokage since I was a child. People think the first Hokage was great, but in my opinion, the second Hokage was without him, there would be no Konoha as we know it today. Ming sighed. Clearly, he wanted to get to Kyoichi. If it were Tsunade in front of him, he would be praising Hashirama Senju. Kyoichi just smiled and said, "The Senju is gone. Glory belongs to the Senju of the past, and has nothing to do with me. With enough strength, the glory of the Thousand Hands may very well be recreated and depends on Lady Tsunade. If Lady Tsunade wants to restore the glory of Senju clan, I will certainly do my duty." He remained non-committal. After listening, Daming remained silent for a moment, then nodded. He lowered the curtain, no longer dwelling on topic, and casually asked about Jing Yi's rank. He asked Jing Yi to tell a story about mission experiences. After resting enough, he signaled to everyone to set off again. After that, he didn't contact Kyoichi again. Since the mission was led by Minato, Kyoichi followed them after returning to the village and instead invited Asuma and the others to eat ramen. Yamashiro Aoba was somewhat reserved. He had intended to treat everyone, but Kyoichi can still afford to treat me to ramen. Asuma was absent-minded, eating his noodle. His mind was filled with images of what exactly did the teacher and Daming talk. I'm so curious. Right, everyone go back and train more. After this mission, things might not be so anymore, so be prepared. He stretched. Asuma remembered that his had asked him to study the art of healing himself in the mist. In light of today, he understood something in a low voice. Teacher, will they from the east? It's hard to say for sure, but they're already restless. After 73 wind release chakra mode is coming. The atmosphere became heavy for a moment. Asuma thought of Kyoichi's sword strike that down the river. Although he had no practicing swordsmanship, he now understood his strength was far behind that of his. Even though it's the same wind release jutsu, he hasn't even fully mastered the swallow. You need to keep working hard. Obito had barely opened his mouth and he seemed to lack confidence. He felt that Kyoichi didn't like him. So, when I opened my mouth, I was a little hesitant to Obito, you don't need to train so hard. Spend your free time reading books, especially tactics, teamwork, and combat thinking. When there are few enemies on missions, your can save you and cover for you, but won't work on the battlefield. Kyoichi said seriously. Before he became challenged, Obito still had some edible quality. That's all the brains I have. Whether it's before or after opening one's, it's always hard to get over it. It wasn't one of his subordinates. On hearing this, Obito thought about his in the Chunin exams, and his face. He realized that his tactical skills were lacking, and he was likely to call on the battlefield. Where would he get such books? Uchiha guard should have books like this. Asuma reminded him. Obito paused for a moment, and hesitated, as if he wanted to say back to me, and I'll find you a basic. I don't expect you to understand tactics or be able to command, but at least you need to know how to fight on the battlefield and to cooperate with your teammates. Kyoichi knew his difficulties. Guards. There's no way Obito could have joined the guards. I doubt there were many people in the Uchiha besides Shisui who liked him. He grew up with his grandmother. It would be a miracle if he could even get his on this kind of book. But he didn't say it directly. Obito looked at Kyoichi with gratitude. Right, go back and hurry up. If war really breaks out, let alone becoming a chunin, it's not impossible to quickly become a jonin. Kyoichi offered a word of encouragement. He was promoted to chunin because of the war. The promotion mechanism is complete in times of war and peace. If it were the era of the 12 Konoha genin, he'd probably still be a genin now. This is based on the strength of his predecessor. Right now, Kyoichi is an elite jonin through, and no one can argue with him. Daimyo's arrival in Konoha has piqued my. Though he had visited Konoha before after office, this was his first time here to the frequent wars in recent years. Daimyo clearly had his own ideas. Based on the previous conversation in the 12s, Kyoichi guessed that the daimyo the idea of establishing his own ninja, and that his previous conversation with him was in an attempt to recruit him. But this is a huge pitfall. As he is the son of the third generation, he falls into such a big pit, he can forget making any achievements when he returned to Konoha. Though Kyoichi had no ambition for the Hokage, he had his own ideas in visiting Konoha. Otherwise, he wouldn't have so devoted to Shisui and Asuma. Only a fool would go to Daiming. He went home and found Asuma waiting at the door. Kids got something. He didn't say anything, but opened the door and gestured for him to come in. Asuma chuckled. Once inside, Asuma scratched head and said sheepishly, Teacher, I'm curious, what did you and the daimyo talk? It was nothing much. They asked me about Senju, my grandmother, just some trivia. He didn't elaborate. He glanced at Asuma. This kid seemed to care so much about the daimyo, so he must have his own ambitions. He said again, stop overthinking it. Your has nothing to do with you. You shouldn't too much contact with him either. Does Daiming have feelings for you? Asuma asked in a low voice. After thinking about it for a while, he understood the reap and rest. That's not a rest. They're heading to Beijing. Don't ask. The answer is you didn't understand. I can lead people into battle in Konoha and more deaths, but if I go over there, I can only protect one person. That's the point. Indeed. Asuma nodded instantly. The teacher is a jonin in Konoha and is regarded. What can he do if he goes to train your own ninja army? That's realistic. Although Asuma's curve doesn't allow him to articulate reason, he vaguely senses that this idea or it would be better to stay in, not only the teacher, but as the teacher. There was absolutely no need for him to have any contact with daimyo. There's nothing you can do there. While the daimyo is important, what's even more important is not the individual, the collective of Konoha and the entire land fire. When the daimyo or Hokage dies, there are successors, but when the nation is a whole gone, there is truly nothing left. Will of fire. This is the will of fire. Asuma feels he can accept it. Sure, I'm going to practice my flying swallow technique. Jingyi waved his hand. After learning the flying swallow technique, Asuma immediately fell in love with it. Now that he has finished his exams, he has put aside his training in wind release and air release ninjutsu and is focusing all his on practicing the flying swallow. Kyoichi ignored it. Flying swallow is indeed a match for Asuma. He created a shadow clone and sent it to Sade's house, while he sat down and began second Hokage's Konoha Ryu swordsmanship. The integration of wind release technique swordsmanship has recently yielded. The move that killed the hidden mist Jonin was the result of fusing the vacuum sword. My strongest techniques are still water and earth release. Earth release couldn't be integrated, but the second Hokage of water release was also master, so there should be records of that. There really is. Water blade slash. Although it is used in action with kunai, swordsmanship can be used. Its power is just so-so. It still needs to be changed. Let's see if we can combine the high pressure of water severing wave, compress condense water release chakra multims, and release high pressure water blades. He pondered this in his heart. Very difficult. Compressing chakra is a skill that requires extremely high control. Integrating it with swordsmanship and handles makes it even more demanding. It's not a big problem. We'll tackle it and try. After looking at these, he glanced at the panel. Seems that his words just now earned him from Asuma. Black lens bracket complete the will of her. Training close black lens bracket. Black lens bracket rating. Close black lens bracket. Black lens bracket reward. Release chakra mode close black lens. Will of fire's teaching. He was completely bewildered. He only explained a few words to Asuma without mentioning the will of fire. It's this kid imagining. Never mind, it's not important. Let's take a look at this. He thought about it for a moment and decided not to bother. It's better to imagine the will of fire to imagine some strange thing that ended. He accepted the reward. After merging this, Jingyi was stunned for a moment. This pattern, not bad at all, because he had of the earthen spear. The only problem with the earth spear is that it is vulnerable to attacks from light chakra. Lightning release is countered by release. If wind release chakra mode is activated, wind's chakra can be used to protect the spear. That time, even lightning techniques won't be able to hurt him so easily. After 74, Sade went berserk. The name is in place, but the third exam won't be held anytime soon. These past few days have been for the ninja recover. In addition, the third generation will hold meetings. Inside the Hokage building, Kyoichi and Minato in the conference room, waiting for long after. A voice rang out from outside door. Minato-kun, Kyoichi-kun, I didn't expect you to be here too. Orochimaru, Kyoichi and Minato stood up at the same time. Orochimaru has arrived. This creature was as a snake. They only sensed it when they were not far from the Orochimaru walked in and sat down. The third generation appeared. Small meeting. Hiruzen, why weren't we fight about the meeting? Quote Baharu Tsutomu and Mitokado Yan. Kyoichi looked at the third generation listlessly. How did we end up attracting these two? The third generation sighed softly and shook his head slightly. He didn't shout. Kyoichi understood. Flies, attracted by the smell of blood, couldn't wait to come down. He sneered inwardly, but said nothing on the. He then stood up to greet them, followed by Minato, and sat down, ignoring the two of them. The third generation could only point to the space. Haru Udatane came in and said, Hiruzen, I do want to lift the forbidden on a small scale. Not all, some forbidden techniques. The third generation said, no way. Mitomen Homura exclaimed urgently, most forbidden too dangerous and harmful to oneself, and involve ethical issues. Picking up forbidden techniques would harm. Orochimaru smiled but didn't say, gaze shifting back and forth between the two of them and the third Hokage. Hiruzen, we've been old comrades for a long time. Know that our master personally included techniques in the Book of Seals back then. Isn't this going against our masters? Haru Udatane used the second generation of Hiruzen Sarutobi to suppress Hiruzen Sarutobi. They're both so stubborn. Hiruzen Sarutobi times gets a headache, so he didn't get the two of them to this small meeting. They still showed up uninvited. The third generation sighed and said, Archer studied many forbidden techniques. There were some he didn't even write down. He probably left some so that we could teach accordingly. The third generation lord is right. Kyoichi chimed in at the opportune moment, while subtly kicking the water gate. Minato understood and agreed. Forbidden should not be abused, but I don't problem with their use on a small scale. For Jonin. One has enough judgment to decide whether or not to use forbidden techniques. Orochimaru was sitting opposite them. This moment, he looked at Kyoichi with a. Orochimaru originally thought this was a mean to reprimand him, but now it seems it isn't. Unlocking forbidden techniques. It's really easy for these two lads to persuade this old man from the third generation. He persuaded 3 generations, and there were still 2 left. He glanced at the 2 people beside him, a smile playing on his lips. Kyoichi, I know you were the one who this out this time. You've seen your breathing activation technique and it is indeed very useful, but do you know this kind of ninjutsu can shorten your. Haru Udatane turned her attention to Kyoichi. Span. Sitting in an office where there's danger, you naturally worry about your man. Fighting on the front lines, constantly on the brink of life and death, who cares about lifespan? He sneered and said, using activates to shorten lifespan, shorten lifespan, might as well not live at all. Are you mocking us for not being brave to fight to the death? You've been through the battlefield too. Ochin's expression changed instantly upon to her new room. That's a truly hurtful statement. Right, Kyoichi didn't mean that. Third generation stepped in to smooth over. Hiruzen, don't cover for me. We're all from the battlefield, we've all life and death, it's not as bad as you. Mitokado was also very dissatisfied. Oh, the second Hokage is still fighting on the lines even after becoming Hokage. The third Hokage has personally come to on occasions, but you've only become and haven't been to the front line all these years, have you? He showed no politeness whatsoever. He had a grudge against those 2 olders for a long time. Though the third generation was incompetent, at least they didn't hesitate when they fought to death. The other 2 were different. He's just an advisor, but he's acting like the Hokage. He'd rather die than lose them. All they do is spout nonsense. The words had barely left his mouth. With a loud bang, the 2 of them slammed their fists on the table and stood up. Is this how you speak to your seniors? He just finished speaking. Another loud bang. A figure burst through the window from the outside, smashed her window to pieces. What's wrong? You old codger. I think what Kyoichi said makes sense. Familiar flow of chakra. Kyoichi and Minato turned around, their faces filled with astonishment. Orochimaru, however, laughed. Tsunade. Unexpectedly, she came back. The third generation was even more astonished. Haru was stunned for a moment, then said, Tsunade, you are so rude. I try to reason with you. You talk about with us. I talk about skills with you. You talk about manners with me. There's nothing to talk about. I saw through when I promoted medical ninjas. Tsunade sneered, casually pulled out a chair, and sat down next to Kyoichi. She slammed her foot on the table and said, since the death of the second, we and the teachers have been fighting commanding on the front lines. Have you ever left the village? Have you ever experienced life and death? Mitokado was so angry that his hands were past. Everyone has a glorious past. Everyone has faced life and death. It's just that you people talk about it all time. You're just deceiving yourselves. Tell us that you risked your lives before you can enjoy your retirement now. Tsunade leaned back in her chair, a carefree smile on her face. She came back, but then she didn't come back. I only came back to support Kyoichi. I didn't want to stay in Konoha any longer, so. I don't care about your pride. Let's have fun. Say everything that was difficult to say before. The third generation understood it, which is they had a headache. Now it's a dilemma whether to speak or not. Tsunade, you can't say that. We're doing our work for the village, both at the fronts. We're not afraid to die. Cold, sinister voice rang out. Danzo entered from outside the door. He glanced at it, then felt a bit. Current Danzo, before he started using it, looks quite presentable. But it still gives people a very sinister. You done anything? All I've seen is Konoha being attacked time and time again by other ninja villages, and constantly and scheming against each other. Besides creating the disgusting root, what have you accomplished? Tsunade fired directly. Kyoichi was impressed. This must have been a long time coming. The role of roots is beyond your comprehension. Danzo is not so easily provoked. It has such a significant effect, yet Konoha has been declining. Tsunade was ruthless, even beating up the third Hokage. She was practically insane. Orochimaru's smile grew even brighter, and he spoke. Gentlemen, let's put aside advisor's credit. It's not a big deal. The issue now is the promotion of forbidden, isn't it? Quote. How sarcastic. Kyoichi almost laughed. That's it. Are their achievements and reputation less important than this topic? That's absolutely right, because it's true. Chun, who had switched dorm rooms, turned her 75 for Konoha. You represent Konoha. It's true, it's not worth my time. Let's talk about promoting forbidden instead. Tsunade really doesn't give me any face. After she finished speaking, she patted Jingyi on the shoulder. I've taken care of all the trash for you, now it's your turn. He stood up and said, forbidden technique cannot be widely promoted, but small scope. It is definitely okay to select techniques that do not cause too much harm and promote them under volunteers, such as the breathing activate. Breathing technique must have a more version, right? Enzo asked. Oh, you were worried about the land of the low-end version, but now. Tsunade gave a cold laugh. He knows these people too well. So-called opposition is merely a way of making their own demands and forcing them to proceed according to their own ideas. At least that's the case for Danzo. The third Hokage rubbed his forehead in aspiration, first at the two advisors, then at Tsunade. Today's meeting is really ill-timed. He even suggested we talk about it another day, but the others clearly had no such intention. Kyoichi was too lazy to even answer Danzo's and skipped it, saying, "With activation technique in the first two of the 8 gates are types that cause damage and can save lives in critical 8 gates formation is not easy. How difficult is the breathing revitalization?" Orochimaru pondered for a moment before asking a question. His understanding of forbidden techniques far passes that of Kyoichi. Is such a small to pay. It's about A rank difficulty. There's no chakra limit, so most can master it. It's really quite good. It can save lives in cool moments. Orochimaru nodded. This kind of technique, which is easy to use and has a moderate cost, is not considered a forbidden technique in his over. He is very clear about Kyoichi's action. On the battlefield, such a powerful technique could very well save his. What about the 8 gates formation? 3 generations asked the way. The first of the 8 gates allows one to have 100% over one's own power, while the second allows one to overload the body's energy to restore physical strength, and it is also a saving ability. Kyoichi explained. The third Hokage already, having read the details of the 8s and breathing technique, he was simply on behalf of Koharu and the other two. After all, Tsunade is just too ruthless. Everyone looking at her, Koharu's face turned grim, but she still think we shouldn't jump to conclusion hastily. He couldn't remain silent, even when facing Tsunade. How did my second grandfather raise geniuses as you two? For your brilliant leadership, Konoha has grown stronger and stronger. You must know that in the past, Tsunade had no chance of being defeated. Tsunade smiled and complimented her. Her words nearly made Koharu Udatane and Mitokado so angry they almost vomited. All the things I said sounded nice, but when I put them together, something just didn't go right. Tsunade have no chance of being. Previously, Tsunade never dared to put its fangs at Konoha. I believe that the third Hokage is the reason that Konoha is being dragged down. If the two advisors had been able to join Konoha's affairs, Konoha would not be the target of so many great powers today. He smiled. This time, even the third Shin was speechless. You can criticize all you want, but why are you dragging me into it? Are you really praising me? The third generation is having a terror. These two together are really impossible to deal with. Brat, you. Itoman was so angry that his breathing disordered. Yi's seemingly flattering words were a mockery of their stubbornness and entry. If you two take the field, Konoha will be on par with other major powers. These two techniques are indeed useful. I support lifting the ban, but Konoha needs a more complete version. Danzo said calmly. Lord Danzo, Konoha has no right to steal other people's secrets. It's my breathing technique or Dai's 8 gates. My suggestion to lift the ban and promote it because I want Konoha to become stronger. This is not a reason for you to blackmail me. I can choose not to promote it, and it won't mean anything. Or, do you think I'm the kind of person who's Konoha more than myself? Kyoichi narrowed his eyes, staring at Danzo without any fear. With his current strength, he has no need to be afraid of this old ghost. I had no such intention. The Root organization has the most resilience in Konoha and has made great Konoha. I am not doing this for myself, but for Konoha. Danzo frowned. He discovered, this brat is to deal with. His words were sharp, and he was very clear about his position and advantages, all waiting to rally the third generation to attack. Doing like this will not only bring notes, but will also cause you a lot of. Konoha, you can represent Konoha. Tsunade had a bright smile on her face. Old dog, why do they keep talking about Konoha and Konoha all the time? They think others don't know. Root does this for Konoha. Danzo said calmly. I've heard that rooting is brutal, with many deaths in session, and members almost lose all camaraderie. If Lord Danzo has this ability, why not have ninjas train their physique from a young, and have everyone learn the 8 gates? A bunch of 8 gates ninjas, even if they're not as good as Lord Hashirama, can easily many ninja villages. If you can do that, why not give me the 8? He shrugged. That makes sense. Tsunade and the other singer work together. On the surface, it seems to be satirizing Danzo, but in reality, it also mocks Koharu and Homura Mitokado. If they care so much about the safety of ninjas, why don't care about the many deaths in the Rushin every year? The magistrate is allowed to set fires, but common people are forbidden to light lamps. Orochimaru laughed after hearing this. A group of people using 8 gates. It's amazing that Jingyi could come up with this idea. If this were to actually happen, such a team would be incredibly terrifying. Danzo's face darkened. This time, bang, with a loud crash, the generation slammed their fist on the table, causing it to shatter. Right, let's stop arguing. We're all working hard for Konoha. There's no need to attack each other. The third Hokage stopped them, then looked at Haru and the other two. Danzo, I had made a decision about lifting the technique. I wasn't planning to listen to your opinion. You can leave now. Hiruzen, even you. Shoutun was taken aback when she turned to her room. Third generation's words were so direct she was caught off guard and couldn't them for a moment. Hiruzen, forbidden techniques cannot be unleashed at will. Mitokado Yan said anxiously. Kyoichi, stand by, couldn't help but laugh. Danzo wanted to gain additional benefits, but this tiny Konoha actually has the 2 of second generation master must have been back then. I think, as Hokage, I should still have some, right? Hiruzen Sarutobi spoke in a serious tone. During this time, he has been reflecting on his actions and realized that he was indeed conservative in some ways. Konoha is currently in turmoil and facing its difficult moment. Right now, the 8 gates and breach should be open to Jonin to enhance. Only those who survive have the right to talk lifespan. Hiruzen, we didn't mean that. Mitokado Yan was stunned. He didn't understand why the third generation was so time, even to the point of almost turned him. Oh, this time, they really did come invited. Forbidden techniques, I will define which ones are allowed to be spread and which are not allowed to be studied. If I find out that you are secretly studying, even if you are my old friends, I will not show you any mercy. Chapter 76 Danzo, don't expect me to take them for you. Settled. The words of the third Shin directly set the tone for this to be questioned or changed. This is true courage. Jingyi thought to himself. There was a reason why Tobarama sent Hiruzen Sarutobi back then. He can be decisive when necessary, but it's like it happened not often. This time, the third generation was truly clear from his words that he knew about Orochimaru's relationship with Danzo, and this was just the trigger that set everything. Danzo, expressionless, got up and left. He there's no point in saying more. Orochimaru's expression didn't change much. He was still smiling, even in a rather strange smile seems to be genuine. My friend, they are right about one thing. We're too far from the battlefield. Perhaps we should go to the front lines to see. Quote. Haru and Homura left silently, leaving the scene in chaos. But as the three elders left, the atmosphere considerably. Sure, this is the real you. You are the Hokage, why do you need them to tell you what to do? Tsunade leaned back in her chair. He was very casual, but she clearly showed respect for the third generation. At least they didn't call him, old man. You can't say that, everyone has differences, but perhaps ours are no longer suitable for Konoha's future. Three generations sighed. Despite years of to strengthen the village, Konoha has not become stronger, instead, it had to decline. Kyoichi's methods, typical of Yoel, enabled Konoha to achieve a significant in a short period of time. He's been thinking about it a lot these past days. Could it be that the heavens truly favor the Ju clan? The final conclusion is, it doesn't matter. All he wants is for Konoha to become stronger. Sure, I have a different opinion on your forbidden techniques should be lifted. That doesn't mean we should give up on Orochimaru said, if the purpose of forbidden research is to prohibit them, then I did the second Hokage research so many back then. Orochimaru, this is my bottom line. The third generation issued a near showdown. Quote. Orochimaru remained silent for a moment, then up and bowed slightly, saying, I still have some research to do. Please inform me of any decisions you make at meeting. Tsunade remained silent, her mood somewhat. Orochimaru is definitely acting strangely. Correct, but she didn't understand why Orochimaru would do this. Tsunade knows him very well. If he didn't want to know, he would never have revealed a huge flaw. What's the point of this? 1. Today's events were unexpected, and one's discussion was quite emotional. I think we should stop here for now, said the and then everyone can go back and think about it carefully. It's not too late to make a decision in a few. Nato stood up and said, the atmosphere, I'm nervous. Right, let's stop here for now. Tsunade, you stay behind. The third generation waved wearily, signaling others to leave. Everyone left. Tsunade was quite say what you have to say, I'm in a hurry leave. Can't you stay, I hope you can succeed the Hokage. I'm really old, but as a teacher, I've failed him. His response was an even more shattered and stable. Only an idiot would become Hokage. After Tsunade finished speaking, she jumped out the window. Three generations sighed bitterly. Who wants to step down? From the three disciples, he couldn't get a suitable successor. Even Tsunade wasn't really satisfactory to him, because he knew what the problem was with Tsunade. Now it seems that Tsunade's problem is more than he knew. When he exited the building, outside, he saw Tsunade falling from the window, and she zoomed quickly towards him from a distance. Tsunade, nay, aren't you up there? There's no point in talking to that old man. Let's go to the tavern. We'll drink until we drop. Tsunade showed no mercy. With that, she tossed green robe aside and strode forward. Tsunade, nay, I didn't expect you to come. If I hadn't come, you would have been. Tsunade gave a cold laugh. Really, it's just a bit more troublesome. Kyoichi shook his head. Even without Tsunade, 8 gates and breathing techniques can be promoted. It will just cause more for a while. It doesn't matter anymore. I had a good run. I came back this time, and it made me much better. Tsunade smiled. Koharu Udatane, Homura Midado, and Danzo. She'd wanted to give those 3 old guys a piece of her mind for a long time, but never the right opportunity. Now she finally had the chance. They were given a good scolding, and none of 3 could refute it. The performance of the third was indeed quite unexpected for her. She sighed softly, glanced at him, and asked, you said you wanted to seal, have you tried it? I've tried it, but I can't say it's complete. It's barely usable. He explained his yin sealing state. Tsunade pondered for a moment, but couldn't come up with a solution. The veins between the eyebrows are too complex to change the course of events as utterance, but in terms of the yin seal, Kyoichi's done almost the best. This is the only way for now. I have tried the chakra manipulation unit, and it is not difficult for me, but very difficult to pass it down. Tsunade sighed. She learned the art of Baihao in time. This is based on Tsunade's incredibly powerful control and accumulated medic. Even if someone else had this chakra control, they might not be able to stably distribute it throughout their entire body. Take it one step at a time. You can start by learning other chakras, such as Kyoichi spoke, his wings spread throughout his body. Release chakra mode. Tsunade paused for a moment, thought for a moment, and nodded. If one can progress from simple to step by step reaching our level, there's still a chance to succeed, but the threshold is still very high. There's no way around it. S-rank difficult jutsu wasn't created for widespread use. Forbidden techniques were never meant to be utilized. Only a select few are qualified to master them. Now it's the 8 gates and break. What's next? Danzo, we should stop here. This matter needs to be handled gradually. Danzo remained noncommittal. Haru and Midokado Ho said a few more words before leaving, still feeling resentful. He narrowed his eyes, then let out a cold, "There's something that's true. These 2 people can't do anything practical except talk. They're coming out. There was a lot of theory. Why didn't anyone refute it just now?" He used his teleportation technique to look in a research lab. Danzo saw Orochimaru doing his things. He frowned and said, Orochimaru, are you going to betray me too? Danzo, I'm just cooperating with you, not pledging allegiance to you. Orochimaru sneered. Danzo's expression was yielding, and his voice carried a hint of fear. You think you can get away with this? I know what I'm doing and I hope someone will help me. Of course, most importantly, this experiment is pointless, and I already have a better plan. And to Kyoichi, Danzo was usually calm and listless, but this time he was clearly out his element, so he was very irritable. So, in any case, my cooperation with was over. Orochimaru turned around and faced Danzo. This time, he was very serious. Danzo, a shady person is not qualified to be Hokage. You must think you're so noble now. Oh, me too. Quote. Danzo didn't understand. This guy, did he think that if he stopped, Sarutobi would growled angrily in a low voice, there's no back for you. I can help you with that technique. I have a new idea, Danzo. Don't expect me to take the blame for you. After 77 Gale, you're really giving away bees. Tsunade, please help me heal my child. Moonlight in a single tree. Yo recognized him the moment she saw him. He was Hayate Gecko's uncle. Hayate Gecko's father died a few years ago, and Hayate was raised by him since he was a child. He came from Moonlight Gale. It's you. Tsunade sighed. The Moonlight clan. His family began to grow in power during the second generation and is now quite famous in Konoha. He naturally knows a few of them, and Gecko Chiki is one of them. Tsunade, my brother's son, Hayate, has been ill since childhood. Please, save his life. Moonlight Tree pleaded desperately. He did many people, but, within Konoha, no they could cure her. The only hope lay with Tsunade. Tsunade hesitated. She knows her own situation. Though she has a lot of theories, she is when she sees blood and is able to perform surgery on people. Ni's heart skipped a beat. He also knew nothing about Moonlight Gale's condition. One aspect is that he has had lung disease childhood. On the other hand, they're the bloodline limit of their clan. The combination of these two factored his illness difficult to improve, to the point that he became extremely weak at the age of 23. Even Maki might not have been able. This is a talented individual. It's truly a pity that he's suffering from this. Lady Tsunade, shall we go and take a look? Zune couldn't help but say. Tsunade glared at her, then saw that Kyoichi had a similar, and sighed helplessly, saying, Chiki, I can't guarantee anything. Good. Understood. Moonlight Tree is overjoyed. There was nothing anyone else could. He could only pin his hopes on Tsunade now. He couldn't ask for anything more. Disputes. In the entire ninja world, there are probably very few who dared to mess Tsunade. Moonlight Clan's territory is not large, but its layout is very characteristic of these moon imprints. Once they entered several children were practicing swordsmanship, practicing slashing and swinging. Only a few who had entered the gate could be said to have mastered swordsmanship. The one with the strongest talent is naturally Hayate Moonlight, but his physical condition is also the worst. Asked Uncle Ichiki, Teacher Kyoichi. When Hayate heard the sound, he immediately over and saw Kanda Kyoichi there. His eyes lit up and he seemed to feel much very popular with kids. Nade said in a low voice. He could tell that Hayate Gecko genuinely Kyoichi, so none of them even looked themselves. He temporarily taught him before. He explained. On hearing the sound, Hayate looked at Nade, who was standing to the side. When he was born, Tsunade had already left so Hayate Gecko didn't recognize her at all. The large character for Gamble was on the clothes in his hand. He suddenly seemed to be deep in thought, and how deeply, Lady Tsunade. Oh, this little hobby of yours is known to the whole world, huh? Tsunade remained silent. She glanced at Moonlight Gale for a few moments, then frowned. As far as children are concerned, his is quite serious. Let's go inside and talk. Once inside, she gestured for Moonlight Gale to sit down, and then began a thorough. Moonlight Wood was on edge, looking very. Tsunade was his last hope. Even Tsunade can't do it. You have a line limit. The Moonlight and the Swift Wind nodded in agreement. He awakened the ability to use teleportation early on. Or, he was valued by his family and practicing the Crescent Moon dance from young age. Curing your lung disease is not difficult, but problem stems from your bloodline. Every time you use the transmission technique, it will damage your body, and it will relapse. Nade said. Moonlight Ichiki was dumbfounded hearing this. Oh, can't I use the transparent escape? He looked at the whirlwind, unsure of what to say for a moment. Oh, I can't use my bloodline limit. Moonlight Gale was stunned. That's right, I can heal you without using portation. Nade nodded. She had some prior knowledge of Moonlight Clan's bloodline limit, which why she was able to make a decision so early. She had asked the same question as Hayate's father. The result is self-evident. Moonlight Wood hesitated for a moment, then at Gale and said, you decide for whatever you decide, your uncle will support. Teacher, a fierce wind swept through, being one bewildered. He was the same age as Zishui, and although he was equally precocious, he was also stunned faced with this choice. Me. Well, Jingyi initially wanted to, but seeing Jaifeng's hopeful and beating expression, he softened and sighed. Right, let me ask you first, is the Moonlight Clan's heirloom a bloodline limit or a sword? Moonlight and Gale pondered for a long time. He said decisively, swordsmanship. Bloodline limit is just an aid. The Konoha swordsmanship is the foundation of the Gecko. He vaguely understood. Then what's there to hate about? As Jingyi spoke, drew his sword and instantly moved. In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared above the moonhill. The dance of the crescent moon. Shiki Tsukiko was surprised. Although there were no clones to interfere, the essence of sword strike remained the same. The flaw. Then, strike from a blind spot to assassinate. The dance of the crescent moon rely heavily on the transparent escape. Greatest strength lies in intelligence, so prohibiting its use is unrealistic. It should only be used as a last. He solemnly said, yes, thank you very much for your guidance. Jaifeng bowed deeply. Tsunade looked at Kyoichi with a half smile, then suddenly blurted out, I can help you, but it won't be me who's the treatment, it will be your, Kyoichi. You still dare. Moonlight Gale did hesitate. It's settled. We'll go to the hospital tomorrow morning to register and prepare for. Thank you, Lady Tsunade. Thank you, John and Kyoichi. Quote. Kyoichi wanted to refute her, but he knew very well why Tsunade did this, so it wouldn't be good to contradict her now. That's all. It's just surgery, isn't it? No problem. Not to mention, just now, Moonlight Gale gave him a reward. In black lens bracket Moonlight Gale regarded as his mentor in life. Close black lens. In black lens bracket reward. Secret sword. Shadow. Close black lens bracket. This is a total freebie. Kyoichi never expected that the child would him so easily. All I can say is, thank you. He left the Moonlight Clan's territory. Kyoichi, Lady Tsunade has some minor issues and is temporarily unable to perform surgery, so I have hemophobia. Shizune was still vague, but Tsunade stated them indirectly. Hemophobia. Jingyi feigned surprise. For a moment, he said, is this why you left village? I am one of the legendary Sanin, a topple ninja, but now I can't perform surgery. What use am I in? Thing means at least no one will know my chin. Tsunade sighed. Her leaving the village was largely due to her illness. After 78 Jing 1, you're a true genius. You considered fighting blindfolded? Kyoichi said, blinded, but I still know. Tsunade was taken aback. Your futs is a mental illness. Even though I can't see the blood, I can still it. You can use illusions to deceive yourself. Kyoichi continued. Tsunade felt something was, but then she also felt there was certain logic to it. With eyes closed, using illusions to something that can't be overcome, the option is to escape and find another. But that actually makes some sense. At least they don't lose all their fighting just by seeing blood. The key issue now is healthcare. This is how battles can be fought. What about treatment? She shook her head. With Konoha in Suno, if she stayed in the village, how will he not go to the battlefield? If she doesn't offer any treatment, what will other ninjas think? Feeling hemophobia, this was a huge blow to battlefield healing. Just make sure the thugs don't share vision. They can report condition of any wounded soldiers. Who can do that? Tsunade is a fan. Kyoichi's path is completely crooked, but she had been dealing with the live slug for a long time and could still provide a simple report of the injury. So after thinking about it, she realized it was indeed feasible. She took a few steps and then came to hers. You really have a talent for education, kid. How did you come up with this idea? Tsunade was convinced. The hemophobia wasn't good, but some of the problems seemed to have been resolved. It's really strange. Certainly, the heart of it is self-hypnosis, and that's something Tsunade has to figure out for herself. She had a headache. Let's go for a drink. I didn't get enough of the drinks last time, I'm going to drink my fill this time. After that, I'll go gamble, hee, I've saved a lot of money, that's enough to break. Or, we'll go with you. He smiled brightly. I don't understand why silent. Isn't the professor at Kyoto University not? Kyoichi and Tsunade both went, so she had a choice but to follow. After drinking, the group went to the casino. Not long after, Tsunade walked out of the casino, feeling indignant. This is boring. Gambling is one of the few pleasures she has. When you have two hateful lucky players and you keep losing until you have to borrow money, you can't feel any joy at all. Hateful. Those two kids must have cheated. The next day, Kyoichi and Tsunade arrived at the hospital early. It's not wartime now, so the ninja loss is significant, and the operating table basically empty. Tsunade hadn't been preoccupied with she could have come directly afternoon to arrange the surgery. Tsunade, could you let these children watch outside? No, medical ninjas need a lot of hands to grow. If it were anyone else, Tsunade would have long ago. The one who spoke was Sarutobi Bawako, wife of the third generation. Surrounding her were many children around 10 years old, including Nohara Rin and Yuhiko, who were all children of the new generation to become medical ninjas. Tsunade shook her head and said, I'm not the one who will be the main surgeon this time. I'm only responsible for assisting Kyoichi. The surgeon is the one who performed the Kunai's eyes lit up. Her medical skills were taught by Kyoichi, who demonstrated them several times before. She had never really grasped the extent of teacher's medical expertise. Is he even more powerful than Tsunade? These children had no idea what was going on. They weren't even very clear about Biwa, so they were somewhat puzzled. She knew, there must be some unspeakable thing behind this. Wako quickly chimed in, with your guidance, it won't be difficult for Kyoichi to complete surgery, and it will be even more normal. The children watch. Tsunade looked at Kyoichi and said, you decide. No problem, let them watch, it's just a minor. He smiled. This was his first time in a proper surgery, but no matter remain calm at times like this, otherwise patient, Moonlight Gale, would probably be even more uncertain. Tate, don't be afraid later. It's a minor surgery. Trust in the skills of teacher and Tsunade-sama. Moonlight and Gale nodded emphatically. Since there were so many people, Tsunade didn't mind having another Shizune. Inside the operating room, Kyoichi stood in the very center, with Tsunade and them on the periphery. An incision first. Clear. Kyoichi formed seals, and a chakra blade appeared. With a gentle swipe, a cut appears. Very narrow and very small. Tsunade turned around and glanced at Kyoichi's heavily guaranteed. She was relieved. As long as the surgeon has a steady hand and how to perform the procedure, there won't be any major problems. As for how to perform it, doesn't this mean I myself? He explained the process, and Jingyi formed the procedure. The process went very gradually. She discovered, Kyoichi didn't actually need to do it himself. The wound, locate the lesion, and then hand seals, the technique to draw out lesion. Completed in one go. She gradually fell silent, did not speak. Tobi Bawako was also stunned. Is Kyoichi's medical ninjutsu skill really that's hard to believe? But, the lung lesions by Moonlight Gale were indeed gradually cured. Accumulated toxins and lesions were being little by little, and even step requires caution. Your hand must be, otherwise it's easy to make too many cuts. Though it can still heal, it will still have impact on the patient. The toxins should be removed, vision should be a last resort. He still has time to give a commentary. It's outrageous. Tsunade felt that there was basically nothing for her to do here. Right, the last trace of toxin was extracted. He waved his hand, signaling the others to shove. After the toxins are extracted, any medical can handle the aftermath. He stopped, paused for a moment, and then to look at Tsunade. Are there any errors or omissions? No need, you've already done very well, you've taken away my part. Tsunade smiled. She initially thought Kyoichi had all the necessary qualifications to task, but after watching for a while, she had underestimated him. Kyoichi could have done it all on his own otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to perform the surgery so easily while also having the leisure to talk and explain his guy. She really has a talent for being a side for a moment, then turned to the Kyoichi's procedure actually omits some steps as he's skilled enough to quickly find the source of the disease. You can't do surgery like that, understand? Everyone here is a medical ninja, how do you not understand these things? Things, you can learn by looking at them, your brain and hands may not be able to them. This is the case with Jingyi's surgery. It's very standard and perfect, but it's nothing they can learn. I have a lot of books in case you can come to the hospital to see me off if you need them. Tobi Bawako smiled brightly. She was a wife of 3 generations, so she knew more than the average person. Kyoichi has a contract with the Slug Sage and possesses such superb medical skills. Ninjas capable of providing wide area. I'm so excited just thinking about it. After 79 studying medicine can't save Konoha. Kyoichi, would you be interested in having your enlisted at the hospital? All you need to do is give lectures and hints from time to time, and the payment is we don't need this, do we? He felt ashamed. People who aren't family don't enter the same. Tobi Bawako is quite difficult to deal. She starts digging whenever she gets that. If I hadn't been familiar with many of her tricks, I might not have been able to. Registering your name at the hospital has many, but it also makes you much easier. Now, they can exercise and study and even research ninjutsu. Money is fine. The main problem is that there aren't many. Though he just gained proficiency in the disease extraction technique, medical jutsu isn't Kyoichi's main focus. The purpose of practicing medical ninjutsu is to learn techniques like the Hundredling's technique and creation regeneration. Tobi Bawako felt a little regretful, but he also understood that Kyoichi, as the one leading the team, was already very busy 3 children and carrying out, so where would he find more free? Tsunade took him away from the hospital. She left the hospital. She said with great, I'm surprised you refused. If you had accepted, you could have gained fame in Konoha over time. The goal isn't to become Hokage, so why should care about these things? Kyoichi shook his head. In the ninja world, strength is the only true of power, reputation and status are all meaningless. But what if he's Naruto? Even if the 5 Kage combined, they still didn't defeat Madara Uchiha. Tsunade agreed in her heart, but she also found strange. Well, what do you want to do? Be a teacher, to cultivate many talents, and to fundamentally make Konoha better. He didn't hesitate at all. He repeated this line many times without a flaw. Tsunade couldn't help but smile after hearing he has trained many talented individuals to make Konoha fundamentally stronger. The idea is wonderful. Without the support of the Kage, these are all like rootless duckweed. 3 generations were mostly competent. Konoha is surrounded by powerful enemies. Being qualified is far from enough. Tsunade seemed to be deep in thought. Kyoto, do you have any tips for quick learning medical ninjutsu? Read more, learn more, and practice your chakra control to make your hands steady and very precise. If it's a minor discipline, you also need to have enough chakra to keep going non-stop, he thought to himself. After thinking for a moment, Jingyan couldn't help but sigh. Tsunade said that my talent for chakra is limited. Although I can become a decent medical ninja, it will be difficult for me to learn her true skills. It would be quite good to become a decent ninja. He tugged at Jingyan's hair. As a child, Shizuka looked adorably innocent, especially when her hair was being pulled. Kyoichi-sama, alright, I won't touch hair anymore. Speaking of which, if you really want to improve your chakra control, you can try non-conflicting techniques at the same. Kyoichi said. As he spoke, he gave a shin. First came the earth spear, then his entirety was covered in wind-style chakra, and one punch. The stones on the roadside directly crushed. If she could do it, she wouldn't need to ask for advice. Tsunade remained silent. All three techniques are used simultaneously. This is a very advanced chakra control. It's just maintaining two techniques at the time. He can do it, and then improve to three or more, step by step. Silently nodded solemnly. Way, you won't regret trying it. With simple instruction, there are still proficiency rewards. He doesn't mind having too little. It only takes a few words and doesn't take time. It's a completely risk-free and let's go tidy up the house together afternoon. We're moving back. Silent paused for a moment. Isn't he staying at Mr. Jing's house? Kanda house isn't big, but it has enough for 3 people. He slept well yesterday and felt that Sin was just a temporary stay. There was no to tidy up Tsunade's place. Come along. Why are you making so many? Are you going to keep living at his place? Tsunade glared at her. It's not impossible, Lee, she said weakly. Stay with me. It's quite boring living alone at home, and besides, there's always someone at your place. Question mark. Tsunade was stunned for a moment, then Lee used her senses to investigate, and speechlessness. Learning by creating shadow clones, you're truly something else. Kid, why can you always manage to create surprises? Tsunade remained silent. Alright, then we won't. Jingyi understood. If it was just a temporary stay, Tsunade had no intention of leaving. She would leave after a few days. Her idea of moving back means that Tsunade doesn't intend to leave. Though he didn't know why his attitude had, Kyoichi felt it was probably related. Eye-touching. He fell into deep thought. He quickly stopped worrying about it. It's good that Tsunade stayed. It would be even if she could succeed as Hokage. It's not that Minato is incompetent. Kyoichi believed that if Minato were appointed, he could become a decent Hokage, but clearly, Minato's experience and methods were no match to these old fogies. In the end, he will likely become a Hokage, led by 3 advisors, plus the Dark Lord of Konoha. Tsunade could handle this setup. But, if you want to become Hokage, you can't take it. Tsunade needs to seriously overcome her phobia, otherwise this weakness will cause. Kyo thought of this. He couldn't help but look through his medical books, only to find that Konoha didn't have any mental health. No wonder so many people get stuck on trivial. The next day, Tsunade nay, I had insomnia last night and then I discovered something. Studying medicine won't save Konoha. Quote. Tsunade looked puzzled. Then, Jingyi shared his medical system is already very. Many of the ninja losses we see now are not due to physical ailments, but rather. First, Tsunade was puzzled. But, later, her question gradually became serious. Tsunade had actually noticed these situations. She hadn't paid much attention to till she heard Kyoichi say this, and she realized that it made sense. In terms of physical medical techniques, Konoha is already the leader in the entire world. Psychologically, they didn't specify it. This shouldn't be happening. For example, the most heartbreaking case is of Senior Shuo Mao. Someone had given him guidance and logical treatment. Our village might gain another strong person. Shuo Mao's situation is complicated, but it's true that the old man didn't do a good job. Tsunade sighed, but she quickly thought of Kashi. The brat is acting really strange now. If we're really going to study psychotherapy, we should start by treating that kid. Herself, Tsunade thought for a moment and what you said makes sense. This is also a kind of medical treatment. This stage of medical skills should be magical healing. Tsunade nay, you should research into this. You, brat, I don't need help like this. This was your idea. I don't have time to do. If you really mind, just add my name to research. Kyoichi shook his head. He asked Tsunade to do, hoping that Tsunade could further enhance fame and completely solidify her position. On the other hand, he's too busy. He simply doesn't have time to delve into the research. All he could do was share his psychology from his previous life with Tsunade. This psychotherapy system was something Tsunade had to build. After 80 the showdown of the medical ninja, Tsunade benefited greatly. She had only a vague before that psychological problems could lead to illness, and her hemophobia was one of them, but she had never considered that she could be listed as a separate. Tsunade couldn't wait to get right into the. But, mental illness involves many, and to complete research and getting for a project, it requires a lot of research, which cannot be done in a short of time. Currently, there is something more for Konoha. Jonin exams. Today is the 3rd match. All the Jonin in Konoha were required to come watch, so that the daimyo could see current strength of Konoha. Kyoichi is also among them. However, he felt wasn't much to see. In one-on-one ring matches, there isn't much in skill, it's just pure. This was just an exhibition match. Daimyo, on the other hand, was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle, even watching the duels between ordinary genin with great focus. I wouldn't believe this matchup wasn't. Tsunade pursed her lips. The schedule is 2. First match consisted of 2 ordinary from Shisui's team. In the second game, Koichi Rado and Ebisu were both defeated. Third game, the match was increasing, with each game generating more hype than the last, especially the 4th match featuring female ninjas, which was incredible. Shisui also missed the round. It's an exhibition match. Who plays a royal in a card game? I smiled. Didn't you enjoy watching the? It's their turn. Silently clapped hers on the side. Tsunade glanced at her, startling the child immediately stopping what she was doing. A moment later, Tsunade said, it's not you, why are you so happy? It's so rare to have a medical ninja showdown. Kurenai isn't a medical ninja. Her primary skill is genjutsu, and her secondary skill is medical ninjutsu. I plan to train her to be a battlefield ninja. All medical ninjas lack practical combat, though they can be useful on the battlefield. They are rarely assigned to 4-person to avoid being ambushed and killed within the sunset's red is different. Tsunade nodded thoughtfully. This was the idea he had advocated before, but unfortunately, for most people, learning medical ninjutsu is old enough, let alone mastering enough. He became interested. Off the field, Kurenai Yuhi and Rin Nohara formed the seal of then. The two began forming hands simultaneously. A moment later, chakra blades simultaneously in their hands. Chakra scalpel. Mute was surprised. This is rated a difficulty and is mainly for surgery and incisions. It'd be used in combat as well. He looked at Tsunade. Tsunade frowned and said, chakra scalpels can cut through muscles and vessels, which does seem to be useful but isn't it too dangerous for him to use this method? It's okay. I said beforehand that the Essen exhibition match is not about strength, but about who plays beautifully and tactically. He smiled. Strength or weakness doesn't mean anything. Didn't Naruto still win in the Chunin exams? But, in the end, only Nara Shikamaru, who would defeat, became a Chunin. Tsunade clearly understood this principle. I don't quite understand what silent means. She wasn't interested in figuring it out. She was completely focused on the battle. Battle, though seemingly simple, was fraught with danger. Kage, what kind of ninjutsu is that? I don't understand the name. The use of chakra scalpels in combat was did in Konoha. The third Hokage was stunned for a moment, let alone a daimyo who wasn't a ninja. The third generation has a fast response. He was puzzled at first, but he quickly chakra scalpel can cut muscles, blood, and so on. In the past, we medical ninjas were most afraid of actual combat, but we have chakra scalpel is also quite effective in combat. These two are using this method now. The third generation explained, so that's how it is. Ming now understands. That technique is whoever hits first gains the upper hand. Kurenai Yuhi attacked fiercely, while Nohara defended impenetrably, and neither gained the upper hand. That very moment, Kurenai suddenly made a strange movement. Her head was shaking. What are you doing? I can't understand it when it's muted. Her technique. Jumping left and right. Kyoichi was joking. Tsunade sat up straight and observed carefully for a while. When she saw Nohara Rin suddenly turn her head, she immediately understood the point. Illusion. She used the iron plate on her headband to light, creating an illusion effect. This is a very advanced usage. Tsunade felt a sense of deja vu, and after a moment, she realized, swear, a scapegoat ninja, witnessing this, also seemed lost in thought. Konoha style. Willow. Although the form has this illusion technique remained core of Lu's swordsmanship. Obito panicked and stood up, shouting, he's been hit by a spell. Konoha Ryuzuke said, Willow leaf falling. Kakashi. He remembered. This is swordsmanship. The illusions of swordsmanship be strict. Nohara Rin quickly broke free of the spell. The moment she did, Yuhi Kurenai hand brushed across. Instantly, her right buckled, and she collapsed to the ground. In midair, she quickly formed hand seals. Two clones appeared beside her. Her clone. The water clones don't have any nails cut off. One of them fought red, while the other helped Nohara Rin run away. Immediately after, Rin formed a series of handles and used the chakra in her hand perform the palm healing technique. On landing, she rolled on the ground and applied the chakra to the wound in her leg. Bad tactics. I seriously doubt whether devised them carefully. Tsunade smiled. The back and forth exchange practically turn-based. This is the reality. In a real fight, Kurenai Yuhi's slam have cut through leg muscles, but vessels of her internal organs. It's an exhibition match. Kyoichi did not answer directly. He didn't give them direct instructions, but he told them to demonstrate the Essen medical ninja combat, so that the Konoha would understand that medical also fight. The two listened. So medical ninja also have such a high level of combat. Many people were surprised. Both Kurenai Yuhi and Rin Nohara had excellent control in battle, especially their water clones gel, which were simply brilliant. Nohara Rin was indeed injured. Though she quickly healed herself using her magic, the delay was enough for Kurenai Yuhi to catch up. This time, Kurenai Yuhi isn't holding back. Catch up. Then, with a swift motion of his hand, he severed the leg muscle of his left hand. Boom. One punch. The ground cracked. Superhuman strength. Tsunade was surprised. Kurenai Yuhi forced herself to use this too risky. But, the next moment, she realized that her worries were unnecessary. As Kurenai Yuhi jumped away quickly, though her left hand had a ligament strain, she was still able to barely form hand seal quickly complete the treatment with it. I didn't teach her this tactic, she came up with it herself. Rin smiled. Kurenai Yuhi's vision and tactical thinking are much better than before. She didn't need to be, she figured out how to make the choice her own. Ligaments can only recover in a short time and not withstand repeated use of excess, so use them separately. That was her answer. I concede.